In the biogeographical regions today, we will be discussing about the northern hemisphere, which is in which we will be discussing about the holarctic mammals. So we have discussed most of the southern parts up till here, and apart from the India, we have discussed the Australia, New Zealand, New Caledonia, South America. Now we are going to discuss about the northern hemisphere, which is the upper part or the northern part of the earth. In contrast to the southern hemisphere, that of the northern hemisphere has been completely uniform history. So if we see that how the southern continents are breaking apart, making new islands, joining together, there are different changes in their biota, in their flora and their fauna. We have discussed that. But in case of the northern part, northern hemisphere, there are not so much changes. Although shallow epicontinental seas and the developing North Atlantic have from time to time subdivided the land areas of North America and Eurasia into different patterns. So epicontinental seas, wherever the word epi comes, that means above. So these are the seas which are above the continent. So sometimes the continent is so shallow that the water comes over it, and it makes a shallow sea. So that shallow sea can have an effect of isolation to the different areas on the continent. And then there is the developing of the North Atlantic, and all of these from time to time have subdivided the Eurasia and North America. So at some time the North America was joined with the Eurasia. Eurasia means the continent of the Europe and Asia. Even today we don't have any clear cut demarcation where the Europe ends and the Asia starts, so we call it Eurasia. So there are some points where the North America has been joined with the Eurasia, and sometime it was not. And during those joining and not joining, there were some species exchange as well that we will be discussing. So the biogeographical results of plate tectonics movement in the northern hemisphere were far less complex and dramatic than in the southern hemisphere that we have discussed. That the southern hemisphere had much more effect of plate tectonics than the northern hemisphere. In addition, their faunas and floras have in recent past all suffered from the severe climatic effect of the ice ages. So ice ages, both in northern and southern hemisphere, they were an effect on their biota. So there are two great regions of the temperate and cold adapted biota. Although the two continents are usually distinguished as being separate, the North American and Eurasian zoological regions, they are sometimes considered as a single, which is called holarctic or boreal region. So if we see, there are the two biogeographical regions, which are North American and Eurasian, but sometimes we can combinedly call them holarctic or boreal region. So the controls on the dispersal of animals and plants in these northern continents have therefore been changes in the sea levels or climate, and the effects of these in four different crucial areas have been recently described by the Greek biographer Leonidas Brickiatus. Right, so there was a Greek scientist who has done the research that how these two continents have been joined and what were the different effects on here. So here you can see the simplified paleogeographical reconstruction of high northern latitudes during the Paleocene to show the key dispersal location in the Paleocene and earliest Eocene. So dispersal location you can see between the East Eurasia, West Eurasia, and North America. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 1 is called De Geer route, 2 is called Thulian route, 3 is called Beringia, and 4 is called Turgai Sea. So all of these are the dispersal route through which the Eastern Eurasia or the Western Eurasia and North America, they have been exchanging their species. The Beringia is combining the East Eurasia with the North America, while 1, 2, and 4, which 1 and 2 are the 1 and 2, which is Digier route and Thulian route, they are combining the West Eurasia and North America. So northern hemisphere, as we have discussed, the Digier route connected the northeastern Greenland to the Scandinavia in the late Cretaceous, early Paleocene, which is 71 to 63 million years ago. And then there is the Thulian route, which is number 2 in our diagram. It connected the northern North America to Europe via ridge of land, and that is now submerged. The route of land across Bering Sea, which is Beringia, between the Siberia and Alaska, was dried during parts of the Paleocene. So that also helped dispersal of sea from Alaska to the eastern Eurasia. And then there is the Turgai Seaway, ran from north to the south near the Ural mountain. So these are the seaways, or the pathways of the dispersal of species between the Eurasia and the North America. Much of the Europe was, until about 30 million years ago, covered by shallow epicontinental sea, so that the area was an archipelago of islands of varying size. Archipelago is the collection of islands at one particular place, and rather like East Indies today. So what does the Europe look like at that time, 30 million years ago? It looked like just like we see the East Indies today. So because of their position in fairly high northern latitude, some of these routes acted as a filter whose intensity varied according to the climate. So filters means that these were having high latitudes. That means the species which are able to bear the colder temperatures, they will be able to move through these routes, but the species which are not able to bear those higher latitudes, the colder and harsher climates, they were not able to cross to the other part. So the biogeographical importance of climate of Bering region can be seen in its influence on the faunal exchange between the North American and Eurasia. In the early Oligocene, few mammals crossed, and in the Oligocene, a number of Asian mammals dispersed to the North America, because in the Oligocene, the environmental becomes less colder. So when it becomes less colder, much more mammal species were able to go towards the North America, and from the North America they diversified they had their niches developed there, and after that, time to time, they also migrated towards the South America as well.